I'm having to dig deep in the memory banks for this one.
For this one?
I feel like for this episode, I feel like I've lived like a whole week or two since Galactics, just because of my.
You took the red eye back and immediately had a week on Monday.
Yeah, on Monday and Tuesday, I had a week.
All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers of all ages. It's episode 37 of the On the Button podcast. My name's Wes. I'm here with my buddies Trey and Ian, and it is time to recap the Galactic Championships. Trey, how you doing, my buddy? How you doing?
Well, I had an awesome time at Galactics.
True.
But it was like a hard break, man. I was in a casino, I ate dinner, and then in the intervening, 2 days plus, I have had a week. Because I was in the casino. I didn't gamble at all. I do not gamble.
Yeah.
But I had dinner, and then it was time for me to go. I'd already checked out of my hotel, so it was get up and go. And I went to the airport at 8:00 on Sunday night, and my flight wasn't until 1 a.m. So I just had 4.5 hours to sit there, and then my plane leaves at 1 a.m. And I can't sleep on a plane because, as many people who met me this week can attest, I don't fit on planes. And I sat I had good leg room. I had a good seat, but I was up against the window. So I sat kind of like a parentheses because my head is so high. And I just had to sit there. So I had a rough flight home, 3 hours home. I landed, I get to my house. I am just a zombie because it's 6:20 in the morning. And then I had got 2 or 3 hours of sleep before I had to get up and work stuff to do. Be an adult. And so then, the rest of the day, I still haven't caught up on sleep. So if I have a massive yawn, it's because I haven't finished catching up on sleep. Yesterday, I had 2 cars break. So my wife gets up and goes to work in the morning, and her AC is out. And so she has to take her car to the shop. So she goes to work, she gets up, she goes to the shop, drops her car off to get the AC worked on. And I'm like, all right, she has clients. She's a therapist, so she has clients she's going to see at home. So I'm like, I'll come get you. And I come jump in my truck, and I drive down the road, and I hit a pothole and destroy the suspension on my truck, and I have to pull it off to the side of the road. So that is,
oh my God.
I got the bill for that today.
Oh God.
It's $3,000.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
You have $3,000. My truck is barely worth $3,000.
I was going to say,
2005
your truck is 20 years old, buddy.
my truck is more than 20 years old. So, but yeah. So, and I'm just I'm still haven't caught up on sleep. I had all this stuff happen. I have had a week in the last 2 or 3 days.
I don't envy you for the red eye. I hate short nights like that, right? Whether I've done a red eye back from the last TwitchCon I went to. I did a red eye back from LA, and it was brutal. I just told myself no, I'm not dealing with this again. So I'm just not for me, right? But yeah.
I'm super glad I saved the $250 now, because it was a drop in the bucket of the expense to pay on these stupid cars.
Aren't you glad you had that money when it came time to repair your stupid cars? Right? Ian, buddy, where are you at? How's your week going? How's things?
I didn't get to pay any attention to what went on Galactics because I was doing inventory. Now inventory went great. We only had 2 recounts, which is a new record for me. Went really smooth. We got out of there before midnight, so that was a new record too. Nice. So was ready and prepared, but I didn't get to watch a single match. The only thing I've watched is a couple of videos on YouTube about what happened.
Okay.
And our text stream.
Our running text thread. Yeah.
I was getting throughout Galactus, I was getting half information. I was trying to decipher what it meant. I was what does this mean? I was oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. I was and I'm coming to my own conclusion. So I did a good job. We did draft last night, so there's no real time to talk about Galactics. So
true.
Looking forward to chatting you guys up about Galactics right now. What's up with you, Wes? Anything new?
No, trying to get back into work. We didn't come back until Monday afternoon, so we landed, I guess, about 18 hours behind Trey. We got back around 10 o'clock Monday night. We took a I think it was about a 4:30, 4:45 flight out of LA. So we slept in a little bit. I had arranged for late checkout. We got up, we went and met a friend for brunch. Spent a couple hours just catching up, and then went back to the room, packed. We went to the airport, got there, went and sat in a lounge. Like, we had a fairly relaxing Monday. We got back late. And then I had to get up, like my engineering manager had booked me into like this 8 a.m. Well, you've been gone for a week. It's time to catch you up meeting. And I'm looking at this on my phone going, I really hate you right now. Like, why am I doing this? Job sucks. What am I doing? So I get into this meeting. Like, I'm the only person in this meeting not physically at the office at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. And he's like, where are you? I was like, I'm at home with a cup of coffee in my hands because I got back at midnight and you booked me into an 8 a.m. meeting. He's like, I'm like, you're about to go on vacation. Just stop. Just stop. Okay. Like, I don't want to hear it. And sure enough, he left. Yesterday was his last day in the office for like a week and a half. So I'm just like, don't talk to me right now. Like, you don't get to say that. So anyways, no, life is good. I'm just trying to, you spend 3 or 4 days with your head completely disconnected from the world. Like, you're in SWU world, you're in SWUville. And then to try and transition back into the depressing reality of the real world is a challenge, let's say. So I've been struggling so far this week.
Well, we're going to do this episode a little different today because I wasn't at Galactics. I'm really not going to have anything to really add to this sucker. So I feel exactly like Trey did last year, just sitting there listening to stories. But I look forward to hearing the stories. So I want to get them started. So my favorite part of Galactics last year was meeting the fans and meeting our people that watched us do streaming. Wes and Trey does streaming with us too when we call games, and just meeting the on the button fans. So my favorite part of that last year was John came up to me and greeted me in the airport in front of my wife, saying how much he loved when I call games in the On the Button podcast. So like that made my whole 2 months straight. Like, that was awesome for me. So tell me, did you guys get to meet some of the people out there, and how did it go? So Trey, you want to start us?
Yeah. I've done podcasts before. I play games. I don't know. I guess I feel like I have a lot to say about this stuff. I like talking to people, and I like sitting around and bullshitting with my friends about these games. And I'm like, I could record this and put it on. So I had Star Wars Destiny that I did a podcast for, and then after that went away, there was a game called SoulForge Fusion that I made. This is the only time I've ever made just truly like an online group of friends, and I had a podcast with them. And I went to events, and I had a couple people see me, but it is nothing like this. Like, I feel in this role, I feel like Wes is the superstar here, because Wes is in front of people so much more than us, because he does all this coverage, and he's been doing it so much longer than we have for this, and so like I feel like everybody knows Sea Raptor, and if people like ask me something, I'm like, okay, so have you seen Sea Raptor's coverage? I'm associated with that because of whatever. But the number of people that came up just and knew me from this, it was quite overwhelming. I had people tell me that we have the best content in the game. I had people thank me for my content. Like, I do want to hear from you in a minute, Wes, like how the numbers compared to last year. I feel like we've been doing this for over a year now, and it's been a year of growth since then. But just like, I tried to get names, I tried to talk to people, like, one thing I did want to say is I always think, how would I react to somebody that if I met somebody that's famous? And not that I'm famous, but if you're listening to me, you know my voice, you can walk to me. And I always think, man, I'm not going to go up to Shaquille O'Neal and be like, people say I'm as big as you are, and like, fangirl over people. But I might say something. I will tell you, I am not famous enough for it to bother me at all. So if there was ever a question of like, should I go up and say, hey, I listened to your stuff? It just makes my day. To everybody that came up and talked to me, it was incredible. Everybody was nice. The way that people told me that they thought about our content and listened to us, it made it feel like we are addressing a demographic that plays this game that is underserved by the rest of the content creators. Yes. Because there was a fairly common theme of people, not even everybody looked like us. There's just, everybody kind of had an us vibe. It's not all middle-aged white men. Like, there are black people there, younger people. Yeah. But that talked to us about it. But it felt like people who have careers, maybe have kids, They have other things in their life outside of this game. They still love this game. They may get to play in their weeklies. They're not like most competitive of the competitive. Like there's some threads that run through our conversations that are not addressed. Like if you go to a K2OD podcast where they're talking about what the best meta deck is.
Yeah,
but it's not sitting around talking about our life. So that's what it felt like. Just the people coming up and talking to me felt like we were speaking to people in a way that other content from this game may not necessarily, and I don't listen to all of it, so maybe some us, but it felt like that's what it felt like to me. It was a lot of people felt seen in a way that other might not do it. So I loved it. I had people coming up to me, people asking me for bases, you sending me to people for bases. I'm going to just natter on here. Renee, Chris, Dono, Matt, like the people that introduced themselves to me. I loved every second of it, and I loved meeting all the people, and it made me feel really good to touch that me sitting here bullshitting with my friends touches people and gives them something interesting to talk about. I did have one thing happen that I have not told you guys yet, because I didn't see you. You walked out. So after you weren't there, Ian, so don't. This isn't gonna make any sense to you.
Like he needs to be told again, Trey. Literally, like you're gonna just stab him right in the face in front of the whole podcast, right in the neck. Like, come on.
So we went to the food court in the Venetian, right? You walked us there, Wes, and then you were like, "All right, man, I'll see you later."
Yeah,
so it was
Sunday
me
night.
and then Jason Griffin and James, and like we were standing there, and I was like, I kind of want ramen. So we're standing in front of the ramen place. I'm trying to figure out how to order this stuff, and I feel a tap on my shoulder, and I think I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but I think it was a younger guy from France asked me for a selfie. So I got to take a selfie with somebody. It was fantastic. That made the way that you got, thanked or talked to in the airport, that one made my way. Everybody that talked to me made my weekend, but the sugar kiss on top was somebody asking me for a selfie. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So So what about you, Wes? How was it different from last year, the recognition?
For me, it was last year for last year, I think for me was the shocking one, right? Like Ian and I coming off of Denver, and then I had just done Minneapolis, and here we are like 8 weeks later, and I've done these two big events with 1,500 people watching in some cases, and it was odd. Last year was I think the experience you had this year is the experience that I had last year, because the content that I have made up to this point in my life, much like you, I have not been in a room with people who would really know me, or if they did, it was a small gathering, right? Like when we do player gatherings for World of Warships, like I've cast large World of Warships events in front of 10, 12,000 viewers on Twitch, right? But you don't meet these people. There's no such thing as player gatherings are very, very hit or miss, or very rare, or very uncommon for that game. So you don't get the opportunity. Last year, it was like every 15 feet, somebody would stop and grab me. Or I'd be talking to somebody, and somebody would see me come up and kind of, they kind of hover right off until you're done having the conversation. They don't want to interrupt you, and then that person leaves, and you hi, and you have a conversation there. This year for me was just a continuation of that, but I think there was even more, right? Like. I had a lot of people last year thank me for the side event videos that I had done kind of in preparation for the GC. I got a lot more of that this year. We definitely had more people recognizing us for the podcast, right? A year ago, the podcast was...
I got that guy.
Exactly. Like 3 months old.
I got people. I would be like, they would ask, somebody would recognize me. They would say who it was. And I would say I'm on the button with Sea Raptor. He's like, oh, the guy that did the side event video. So
there you go.
Your side event videos are super famous.
Yes, exactly. I get a lot of views for those because people they're like me. They've got that little bit of analytical brain, and it's like, okay, I've got limited time. I'm either got to watch my wallet, or I've got to make sure I'm maximizing the time that I've got available to take home whatever it is that you've decided that you want to try and earn with side tickets and stuff. And so going through and doing a little analysis there, I found is very helpful. But this year, getting some recognition for the podcast, right? And the number for the difference this year for me. The number of people who stopped me and were like, what are you doing here? Why are you not behind the stage calling games? And I'm like, I gave everybody the exact same canned response, which was A, thank you, and B, no offense, but don't tell me, go tell FFG, they make these decisions. Right? Like if they invited me, I would say yes, but they have to ask first, right? So I appreciate the sentiment, but it is what it is. this year I feel like I spent more time talking to players who were new since last Galactics. I think that was the thing that stood out to me the most. On Friday morning, maybe it was Saturday morning. I don't think it was Saturday morning. It was Saturday morning, Trey, because you and I were kind of lurking around waiting for that first Super Seal to start on Saturday. I met Joe and Amanda from Southern California, and you eventually ran into them again with me. They literally just started playing like 3-4 months ago. I think they said March, might have been May, sometime in the spring, like this year. And here they are at the Galactic Championship, which is essentially, we call it the Galactic Championship, which I think conjures an image.
It's a bit of a misnomer.
It is, right? It conjures an image of like, we're all playing around super sweaty competition. The GC is really SWOCon, right? It's the one event a year that is literally just built and based around the game, but it's for everybody, competitive, casual, doesn't matter. If you enjoy Unlimited, the GC has something for you.
It's more for the people that are not involved in the event than it is for the people like this. It is SWOCon where they happen to be holding like a tournament there for an invite tournament for people to play in. But the panels, the side events, the scheduled side events, the pickup side events, the meet the developers, all of that, the get your artist stuff signed, like all of that is it's the con part of it, which is amazing.
Because the guys that are over playing in the super competitive events never really partake of any of those things, right? They're busy playing in the competitive event. They're not standing in a line to get an artist signature. They're not attending a panel, right? They're not playing in a scheduled side event.
But even them throughout the weekend, as they start to suck and get beaten, they drift over and they form they join the rest of the crew in the con.
That's true. You're not wrong though. That's true. Like by Sunday, the majority of those people, because they're down to probably 70, 80 people in the main event at that point, they have filtered into other things, and you see them all over the place.
And at the same time, where there's 70, 80 people, now there are hundreds and hundreds of tables of people playing pickup, draft, and Twin Suns and Premier, like all of it is like it just grows over the weekend.
Yeah, it does. It starts off very calm on Friday and reaches a fever pitch by Sunday afternoon. But yeah, this is going to sound way more arrogant than I mean it to, but it's the honest to God truth. When I sit down across from an opponent in an event and they don't know who I am, it's the exception, right? This happened to me in the LCQ. It happened to me in some of the super sealed events. And I just tell them, and they're like, should I know you? I'm like, no, it's if you don't spend time on YouTube looking for the game, you don't, and that's fine. Not everybody does. But yeah, I met so many amazing people. My doppelganger. This is one of my favorite stories, right? We're playing the second super sealed. You met this guy, Trey. I get done building my deck, and I stand up with my cards, and I go and I stand off to the side, just kind of waiting for them to prepare the event and ready to go. And this gentleman comes up to me. He's roughly my height. He's blonde. He's got kind of that high and tight haircut that I like because it's low maintenance.
No, he looks just like you. People, you don't have to describe yourself. People are looking at you on YouTube. He looks like this.
He looks very close to me, and he looks at me. He kind of goes, "So you're the guy?" I'm like, I'm what? He goes, "You're the guy. Everybody keeps thinking that I'm you." And I'm like, what is going on?
You're the Sea Raptor.
Literally, and he's like, I've had 3 different people come up to me and ask me if I'm you, and I'm like, well, sorry. Like, how do you respond to that? We struck up a hilarious.
Well, 4 people have asked me if I'm you, so I don't know what's going on here.
I should have thought of that, but I wasn't thinking. We had a great conversation, and then later in that same super sealed event, we got paired into each other. So then I sit down across from him, and the guys sitting on my left are kind of looking at us like, you guys should do that Spider-Man meme thing where like you point at each other, right? It was really funny. We had a great time. Shout out to Jeremy from Northern California, but that was great. It's always great meeting people. To kind of to your point, Trey, what I tell people, I've said it on this podcast, I've said it on my own channel, I will continue to say it. If you have a content creator, it doesn't matter what space it's in, what game it's in, if you have any content creator that you enjoy, the best thing that you could ever do for them costs nothing. And all it is to comment on their video.
Like and subscribe.
Well, yes, but comment on their like comment on their video or send them a message, or if you meet them in person, shake their hand and just say, "Thank you, I enjoy what you do." That is one of the most energizing things that you could ever say to somebody in this space. So if you did that to us or any other content creator over the course of the weekend, kudos to you. You are my hero.
So, I didn't get a base this Tuesday. I'm going to take it that the base hands out was a big hit with the fans.
Yeah,
Trey,
they were.
Trey didn't have many left.
I didn't have many left. I kind of split them. Wes came to pick some stuff up for me before he left, and I split the batch I had in half, and we took them up there, and ended up most people, if they asked, I'd be like, here, pick 2 of them, and I had quite a number of them.
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of these interactions with somebody were them coming up saying, "Oh, I love your stuff, blah blah blah. Can I have a base?" And then I'd be like, pull a fan them out and be like,
hell yeah,
which 2 would you like?
Yeah,
and oftentimes that actually led to somebody, like I would be doing something, somebody would come up and introduce themselves, and then they'd ask for a base, and I'd pull them out. And of course that leads to somebody across from me or next to me, or they would be like, "What? I don't understand what's going on." And then I would on the button, and I do a lot of maker stuff, and I made these bases. These are just generic 30-point bases, and they, "Oh, cool. Can I have one?" And so hopefully that grew the podcast with the QR code on the back.
Yeah, they were cool. They were a big
awesome.
hit. I had a couple people find me and ask for them. I had one guy, again, that same Super Sealed event. I'm sitting down playing, and he spots me from the main aisle. He comes over a couple of chairs, taps me on the shoulder, kind of shakes my hand, and asks for some bases. And I pull up my thing, and I pull out a couple, and I said, "Do you want the other 2?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Trey's about 4 seats to my left. Go hound him for the other 2." And so literally, he just merrily walks his little way down there, and I'm just like, he'll take care of it, right? And I talked to Trey afterwards, like, he come find you? He sure did. There you go. So he got a full set, right?
Yeah. So yeah, they were great.
They were great. They were a big hit. Loved it.
Yeah. Now comes to what has worried me since this whole time. So I really haven't talked about you guys. Let's talk about how side events went. Did they fire? Were they going, or was it a standstill like it was last year? Or how did we do? Did we get to play events? Like,
I'll tell you this. I did Friday and Saturday. They had 2 super seals. One started at 11, one started at 4, both days. Before that started, I said, I'm going to go play some Twin Suns pickup side events. The first day I got in either 2 or 3, and the second day I got in either 1 or 2 beforehand, because the side events fired so smoothly that I walked up. There was a no line. I signed it. I had my name on a piece of paper. They had a piece of paper. They wrote it down, and they were like, "Go stand over there. You're in Twin Suns 16B." And then I would go stand there, and there'd be 1 or 2 or 3 other people there. And then a couple of moments later, a judge would walk up with a little sign that said Twin Suns. He would grab us, we would go sit down, and we would go. And it was just one right after the other. I did not wait the entire weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awesome. That is really awesome to hear.
They really crushed it with on-demand, ODE, right? When you talk to a judge, they say ODE, on-demand events, right? That's how the judge staff refers to it, because it takes a lot of people to staff that area. Yeah, the scheduled stuff wasn't a problem last year. It wasn't a problem this year. It was the on-demand stuff that we struggled with so much last year, and it was one of the big reasons that I refused. I signed up for the LCQ on Friday because I didn't trust them to have it right. And to their credit, they made an ass out of me, because from minute 1 they had it nailed.
It wasn't them.
Well, whoever it was that set it all up,
you did it yourself.
No, that's definitely
you do an excellent job yourself.
Okay, sure, fine. I accept your praise. When you walked over there, Ian, you remember last year, right? When you wanted to sign up for, let's just say, Premier Pod, right? There was eventually, like, let's just say Saturday, there was a line, and the line kind of snaked its way through the walking areas of the on-demand area. So like you were constantly like having to walk through this line or dodge around it or look for the end of it because you didn't know where it was. Okay, none of that this year. When you went over to the side of the hall, they had large, like 8-foot wide aisles marked out with pipe and drape to funnel you, and at the front of each aisle was those little stand-up signs I sent you a video of, right? Eternal, Premier,
where they took my box idea and
they turned it into a little standing metal sign.
Classy this year.
Eternal, Premier, Twin Suns, Sealed, and Draft. So there were 5 lines, and they would funnel you up. There was a big L-shaped line. They would funnel you up to the sign-up table. At the head of that line was a table for you to fill out a little paper slip with your name. And you would go up there with your name written down, and you would hand them your side event tickets, and they would they would scribe it onto a little sheet. And when it fit, and then you would go over to like the little holding pen area, again marked with a sign. And then when your pod filled up, just like Trey said, they came, got you, walked you, took you over to the table. I think the longest I ever waited in line was about 2 minutes, and the longest I ever waited in the little bullpen area was about 2 minutes. Like they were crushing it. They were doing a great job.
warms my heart. It really does.
Yeah.
So
from the jump and all the way through the end, there was never a hiccup either. It was I walked in the very first morning and it was super smooth, and it didn't get any worse or any smoother.
Nope.
By the time we played a bunch of Twin Suns pods on Sunday, still just as smooth.
Yeah, we were still playing Twin Suns at 5:30 on Sunday evening, right? Like,
awesome, because they had cutoff events at like 11, 12 o'clock the previous year.
Right. On Sunday, they did start cutting things off about 4 o'clock. I remember when we went to sign up for our last Twin Suns pods around 4:30, the sealed and draft lines were closed, which makes sense, right? Because those take extra time. The Premier and Eternal pod lines and TS lines were all still open. But not long after we signed up, they closed those off as well because, they got to start winding things down to get everybody out of the hall at some point.
Yeah. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, it was great.
So what was the best event you guys played? Like, what was your favorite thing to play?
I know Trey's answer, but go ahead.
God. So I want to tell you that this is my story about the weekend. I didn't really know what I was going to do. So before I flew up there on whatever day, Thursday that I flew up there, the week before that, I was putting together decks. I wanted to be totally prepared. So I had like 3 different Premier decks that I wanted to play or have ready to go. I put together some Twin Suns. I got all the tokens sorted. I got everything sorted. And I did take 3 Premier decks. They didn't leave my hotel room. I didn't play a single game of Premier with any of the decks that I brought the whole weekend. The only game, and I've been telling people I didn't play a single game of Premier. The only game of Premier that I played was when that was the only option available when you sit down and play against the developers. And I just borrowed one of Joe's decks to play.
I remember this.
That's the only game of Premier I played the whole weekend. And they were good decks, but they were not like tournament winning decks. So I will tell you, when we talked about this before, I was excited about the idea of a super sealed. It sounded fun to get half a box and build a 50-card sealed deck and play. And so I was like, I'm just going to do that. And I have never been more right about a decision in my entire life because it was just the greatest. You spent the first half of the day playing sealed, then you ran it right back from 4 to close, from 4 to close. Mm-hmm. And you just it was just build decks, build the sealed deck and play all day, every day for the first 2 days. And it was incredible. It was so much fun. It was fun to open the cards. It was fun to talk. The people that you get in those events are, especially the very first one, but in all of them, it's people that are not trying to win in the LCQ. They're not in the main event. These are the people that showed up for the con, as we've now called it. So, I mean, it was just an incredible experience to sit down from a bunch of people that are there just to experience the con like you are, play in the sealed events, crack half a box, build your deck, and then play these games that are just such good games.
Yeah.
Like every game came down to interesting strategy decisions. I did really well. So I played in 4 of these. I went 5-1, 4-2, 5-1, 4-2. So I hit the tickets hard. I was able to do really well with the tickets hard. So I don't know if we're going to get to talking about it, but I do have one really great story. So I guess I'll tell now. The story of this is an example of how close the games were.
I was there for this one. I remember this.
And you were watching it. I had multiple games. This is the closest one, but I had multiples that kind of ended this way. So we both have 30-point bases. I have taken 27 points of damage on my base, and my opponent has taken 27 points of damage on his base. I have claimed the battlefield.
29. He was at 29.
No, not yet.
Okay, all right.
He was at 29. He might have been at 29, 27, whatever. So
whatever.
If he's at 29, that's fine.
Single action.
But I claimed the battlefield. All I have to do when the next round comes around, I'm going to hit him and win the game. He's not playing anything. It doesn't matter. He can play a sentinel on either side. I'm going to get him. Like, he has no outs if he passes. Mm-hmm. I have 27 damage on my base. He has one guy standing up. And it is the Rancor Keeper, the 2/4, that when one of your guys gets damaged and doesn't die, you can ping a base. So he's trying to do 3 damage to me. And that's the only guy that he has standing up. And so he has the 2 damage, but he just has to attack me to get the 2 damage to put me at 29. But he's trying to get that 1 extra damage. And he's just sitting there and he's deep in the tank. And then he goes, okay. And he taps 3 resources and he plays the sharpshooter guy, the 3/3 that deals 2 damage to an upgraded unit. So he plays this guy, and he has a Mandalorian token that has a shield token on it, and he goes, play this guy, shoot my Mandalorian guy, deal the damage to you to do the 1 point of damage. And I was like, oh, Oh, that was a great play. Wait a minute. I don't think that works. I think the damage got prevented. So we had to call a judge over to make the ruling that said that no, the damage does not consider to be dealt, so that it doesn't count for dealing that 1 point of damage. So he was able to get me to 29, almost come up with an crazy off the wall fun play to get that last point of damage in, but it just doesn't quite work the way he wants for the rules. So then I pick up the win on the next round. And I played so many games that were basically that. And it was just, the sealed is so much fun. Yeah. If you're on the fence and you're like, I don't want to go play or try to the LCQ or try to win, who cares? Show up and play in Super Sealed, because it was unbelievable. All weekend, 4 events, the entire day, Friday and Saturday. It was unbelievable.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, for me, Super Sealed was the huge winner. I played well. I played a little more variety than Trey did, right? Because of my distrust of the side events, right? I entered the LCQ on day 1. My Friday was bad because I stuck in the LCQ longer than I should have. I started off 0-2. That should have been it. I should have walked away right then and just
played some Super Sealed
and done literally anything else. But in my brain, I keep telling myself, no, it's okay. You can get to 4 wins. If you can get to 4 wins, it's okay. And then over the next 2 rounds, I got 2 more wins and got to 2-2. I was like, okay, no problem. And then I lost 2 more. So now here I am at 2-4, and I've had my fill of Premier for the weekend. I'm done, and I look at the clock and it's 4:15. And so I walk, the Super Sealed the event has just fired. They're building their decks. And I'm like, I wonder if I can sneak in, because I can build a deck quickly. It's fine. So I walk over to the side event table. I'm like, hey, is it too late for me to sneak into the Super Sealed? They're like, yeah, it's too late. I was like, so that was on me, right? Like Friday was bad. So I told myself Saturday was always my flex day. I'm like, okay, Saturday, I'm going to do nothing but Super Sealed. Like Trey, best decision of my life. I got up on Saturday morning. I went down to the hall. I don't think I played a pod before this. I might have. I might have played 1 game of TS, maybe. I don't remember. I wandered around. I chatted with people. I explored a little bit. 11 o'clock rolls around. I sit down. I open my 12 packs. I have a banger pool for Balin Green. I have a Chimera and a Darksaber in my 12 packs. And so I'm like, Balin Skull, let's go. And I went 5-1 and had a blast and won a mountain of tickets and met all kinds of awesome people. And discovered very quickly I love this limited environment for Ashes, because no single leader dominates the field, right? For a year now, even CAD. For a year now, the limited environment in every set has had at least 1 hero leader in every set, going all the way back to Legends of the Force, that handed out experience tokens like they were candy. Like, here's a little Pez dispenser, experience, and just spit it at people, right? And it warps the whole format, whether it's Velsartha, Leia, or Obi-Wan. They've all done this. Finally, here, as we get to set 8, nobody does that anymore. And my God, what a difference it makes with all of the leaders now having a little flavor, a little thing that they do that's interesting and viable and fun. Cat is good, but he does not dominate the format the way that Leia and Vel and Obi-Wan did, given half an opportunity. And so Super Sealed was just a blast. My second one in the afternoon on Saturday, the pool wasn't quite as bonkers crazy as it was the first time, but I was like, no, I'm playing Balin Green again. Like, the cards were good enough, and man, I had some fabulous games. If you've watched any of the Texas coverage, I got paired against Owen Frank, who was a kind of a regular at Austin PQs, and he was playing CAD, and I was playing. He was my 1 loss in the second Super Sealed. I was playing into Balin, and I took a big lead. I think I got him down to like 27 or 28 damage on, and I had maybe like 6. And just like that stinking final game of the overall event, he managed to find ways to keep me off the board with his deck, and I couldn't finish him off till he won the game. And at the end, I was like, "Damn, you son of a bitch, that was a great game, right?" Like, he busted his butt and got that win. It was a great game. I did some Twin Suns pods on Sunday. That was a blast. But really, Super Sealed was the big winner for me. One of the interesting things that they did the night before, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, the night before the con opened, they went into the website and rewrote the pay scale, the payout, the prize tickets payout for every scheduled side event on the calendar.
Did they increase?
They all went up. Now, what happened was, I don't know if you watched the video I made, but the way the payout for most of those events was designed was that it scaled, right? You won 1 game, you got 300 tickets. You won 2 games, so you got 600 tickets. You won 3 games, you got 1,000 tickets. And so as you won more, you earned more tickets. The problem is that when you do that, you have to wait until the very end of the event is over to pay anybody anything because you have to know their final record. Yeah. Apparently, I mean, I pointed this out in the video I made 10, 12 days before the event. Apparently, this didn't dawn on anybody till the night before when they were like, oh, crap, we can't just walk around and lay tickets on the table on all of these side events for the players to play for and figure it out. So what they did was they rewrote the pay scale so that every win was a fixed payout and they could just pay them out as they went. And when they did that, they aired in the upward direction. So they increased the payouts for most events between 200 and 300 tickets a little bit, just to kind of make it even.
So the payouts for the Super Seal, the way they would do that is you sit down, they hand you your box. Everybody gets 500 tickets just for
showing up. Yep.
And just for showing up. And then you sit down to your first match, and everybody's paired up. You got all the tables there with everybody in the room. Everybody lined up on them or sitting at them. And then they just walk by, and for every match, they throw 500 tickets down in the middle, and you guys are playing for this. And it's such a difference in engagement because you're not in, like you were just saying, in a super field, you went 0-2 and should have dropped. And then what? You just paid all that money. You played 2 matches. You lost. What a crappy experience that is. Yeah. But even if you're 0-5, you still have that 6th match where you're going to sit down across from somebody and they're going to throw 5 who was also 0-5. Yes. And they're going to throw that 500 tickets on the table. And so you are still playing for prizes. Yeah. And so that was an incredibly much better way to do. What a terrible way to say that. Incredibly much better way to throw out tickets and keep people engaged throughout the whole event. So you had 128 people playing in the event. And by the end of the event, you still had 128 people playing in the event because that last round was worth as much as the first round.
Yeah. It was
awesome.
They were really well designed that way. You very rarely saw people drop out.
You guys have talked about all these tickets. Let's talk about the prize wall. Did you get the things that you wanted? Were you excited about the stuff on the prize wall? And then my final question is going to be, how fast did things run out, right? Because last year, all we heard was, the voice speaker of death of, we have run out of over and over and over again, especially on that Friday was really frustrating to sit there and hear, right? Like you're sitting there and like, oh, I just need 100 more tickets and I'll go get that super laser blast. And then they tell you you can't get it anymore. Yeah. So how did that go? Overall, what did you think of the prize wall? What did we think, guys?
So I'm going to let Wes take this one to start with because I have some very specific points I want to make. Wes can do the better job of comparing this year to last year.
Okay, fair enough. For me, the prize wall overall was a miss. They didn't really run out of things. There were 2 things that I know for a fact they ran out of. One of them was the little token packs, right? They had the little token packs that was Mando and Credit and then like Spy and whatever it was. There was like the little token packs, right? Those were actually relatively well priced. I think they were 300 tickets for the token packs. They ran out of those. I don't know when they ran out of them, but they ran out. The other thing they ran out of was the mat that for the single reactor ignition artwork that matched the promo card that you got for playing in the LCQ on Friday. And those mats went fairly quickly. I think by Saturday afternoon, like I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think by Saturday evening, afternoon, they were gone. I remember going to spend tickets on Saturday night before I left the hall and there were none. There was none in the stack. They put out a handful more on Sunday morning, but if you didn't have a VIP badge to get to the prize wall before 9 on Sunday, you probably didn't get one. Beyond that, they had plenty of everything. Like nothing else ran out. The struggle that I had with it was, if you remember last year, Ian, every promo card on the prize wall was 200 tickets. Didn't matter. Rarity, foil, none of it.
Yeah.
This year,
and there were a lot of really great cards.
There were a lot of really banger cards.
A lot of really great cards.
This year, they made, for my money, they made 2 calculated decisions that I think backfired in terms of what people were spending. One was they didn't choose as many good cards this year. Like there weren't bad cards, but they're not cards that see wide play. They're cards that see kind of narrow niche play in specific things. I'll use an example. One of the legendaries that you could pick up is Director Krennic out of Secrets of Power. It's not a bad card. He's a big old 8/10 giant ground sentinel, right? But he only goes in like maybe one or two kind of specific corner decks, and none of those decks is hyper competitive or super popular. So, like, if you love that thing, you go get it. But okay, fine. The other thing that they did was they graduated the pricing. So the cheapest, so they had non-foils and foil versions of all 12 cards. And the prices started at $300 for a non-foil for half of them. The foil version of those cards was $400. Then some of the non-foils were $500, like the legendaries, and then the foil versions of those were $600 for a single promo. Now consider,
and they weren't split up either.
No,
they were all mixed together. So
well,
and they weren't even. Everyone except there was one girl at the at the very end on Sunday who was like, "This bugged me all weekend, so I fixed it." And in her little case of them, she had fixed it. But every other one, they were just all jumbled together, and they had to you were like, "Well, I want this one," and they'd have to go get a piece of paper and cycle through. That one's 500 tickets.
Yeah. To the point where consider if I'm going to spend $600 on a single foil promo card off the prize wall, for 200 tickets more, I can get a silver pack and just get two of them. There's none of those cards should cost more than $400, because if they do, you're robbing me blind. Like, let's be honest, you're just robbing me blind. Theoretically, I'm not gambling, right? I'm getting exactly what I want. But it doesn't matter what I open in a silver pack. I've paid $400 for each of those cards, and even if they're cards that I don't want, I will be able to find somebody else in the room who will trade me the ones that I do want, or I can sell them and then go buy the ones that I want later on after the secondary market, right? So none of the prize wall promos should cost more than $400, and they kind of hosed that up. The other big miss for me on the prize wall is that I talked about this a little bit in my video. You know, the showcases last year were $2,500. They were $2,500 if you bought the pair, $3,000 each. The Twin Sun showcases this year were priced at $2,000 each, and I think that's too high. Now, they definitely, there were people that went out of there with full collections. Okay, so it's not like it was unachievable, but I think they should have been about half that. For leaders that are in a very niche portion of the game, they can't be played outside of Eternal and Twin Suns. They are never going to be big ticket items in terms of the secondary market pricing. 1,000 tickets is more than reasonable. Maybe if you want to get real chintzy, you could say 1,200, right? Fine. But in that 1,000 to 1,200 in my mind is the right place for those cards. They cost a little more to make because you're foiling them on both sides and so on and so forth. But it's not outrageously higher in my opinion. I don't believe. And so I'm like, you should want people to go out of here with this stuff. You shouldn't want to take this stuff back to the office with you. And I think they were overpriced for my money. Trey, what else have you got?
Well, so I have a little bit of a different take on your. Some of the stuff I can agree with was a miss. The stuff that I agree with was a miss was the pricing on the individual cards. I think you were correct. I think that was confusing and just they were a little too expensive. I bought all of like I said, I got a lot of tickets through the Super Sealed, and so I was able to pick up all of the non-foils, and I thought that was cool. They were a little more expensive than I wish they'd have been. Yeah. The silver packs were good. They didn't have any chase cards, but I think that was deliberate. So I guess if let me give an example. If they had single reactor ignition as one of these cards, it would have sold out immediately and nobody would have wanted anything else. Yeah. And so instead of that, they put 12 cards on there that are playable, go in decks, and there's something there for everybody. Every card that was up there goes in some deck somewhere, and you could go get a card for your deck out of there, and it spread the demand out. And so that even though the highest demand card, the one that everybody wanted, was the Silver Pack Legacy run,
the art is amazing.
The art is gorgeous, but the card is playable and it's in some decks, but it's not single reactor ignition or pre-Vizsla or any of those. And so I think that I actually liked the choice of cards because it's spread out. There was something for everybody. There wasn't the one that everybody had to get, so it didn't run out. So there was no feel bad of I want a card on Sunday and it's gone because the one I wanted was the chase one. It was just everybody had something there. I thought that was good. I don't know enough about the showcases. It was real expensive to get all of the showcases, but at the same time, you're getting 8 showcases for that price. So I don't. I wasn't going for them like as we've talked about here. I make my own cards, so I don't even think about getting showcases other than what can this value can this get me. Oh, I did open a CAD and a super seal and immediately sold it for $180, so that was nice. So that's I'm just not a big showcase chaser. I do have a critique. This is a little bit of a niche critique, but I have a critique of one of the things that was on the wall. I don't think I've told this story on the podcast because it's a little, I don't know if it's inside baseball. I don't think it's going to get anybody in trouble. But we played Star Wars Destiny. So everybody who listens to this, if you've listened to us, I'm a maker guy. I'm a maker. I made the bases. I like printing things. I do 3D printing. I do this UV printing that I do now. I make all this stuff. I make my own cards, the proxy leaders. So I am a perfectionist about this stuff. Like I notice every little thing that I do wrong. And that's why I don't produce all that much stuff, because I get really irritated if this one little icon needs to move over 1.5 millimeters or I'm not satisfied, that type of thing. So I have a perfectionist eye for this stuff. So, all right, back up. I didn't do this for Destiny. I started doing this after Destiny stopped. So Star Wars Destiny, it's the similar game to this. You rolled dice. FFG made it. They thought it was cool. They stopped supporting it. This is why we've talked all about this. Why people had problems getting into this was mainly because of the way they treated Star Wars Destiny. When Star Wars Destiny stopped being supported by FFG, there were several groups of people that were like, well, this is just cards. We can make cards and dice and design them. And there were groups that came out that were like, we're going to continue Star Wars Destiny. The largest of which was called A Renewed Hope, ARH. And so they would produce cards and they would put them out for free on Tabletop Simulator. Or I also did some printing of these cards for some folks. This was how I got my whole I'm learning how to make cards thing going. One of the things that they wanted to do is they wanted to have events and they wanted to have prizes for these events. And the biggest prize in Star Wars Destiny were the spot gloss cards, which were about 1.5 millimeter thick plastic cards that were printed. They were just copies of the leaders with special, very promo-y like you see today, with certain aspects of the card. Maybe the letters and the lightsaber would have like this glossy UV coating, and that's why they called them spot gloss cards. And they were gorgeous, and everybody loved them, and they were the showcases of the time. Yeah. You didn't open them in packs, but you got them on prize walls and whatnot. Right. Okay, so I'm trying to keep the story as quick as possible, but I do have to tell the whole thing. So right when FFG, I'm excited and I'm going to try and do prizing for ARH. I'm going to figure out how to do this. So right when FFG turned off Star Wars Destiny, they also laid off a bunch of people. And I knew a bunch of people there, and I knew some of the ones that got laid off. And so FFG did not make these spot gloss cards. FFG had them made somewhere. So I surreptitiously approached one or two of the people that I knew who had worked at FFG, who no longer worked at FFG, and I had hey, so I don't know if it violates anything. I hope if it's too much to ask, please, I'm gonna use a strong language here because this is somebody that just got laid off who's about to respond to me. So if you need earmuffs, you need to earmuff. So I don't know. Could you give me a clue as to how you guys had these things made so that I can maybe go figure it out for myself? And the person that I talked to went, yeah, fuck those guys. This is the company you need to call. This is the person you need. Go talk to Rachel here. This is the phone number. Call these people. And so I was got on they were I will happily do this for you. So as an individual person, I was able to find the place that made spot glosses, and I was able to talk to the company. I was able to say, hey, you guys did this work for this other company. I want to do something exactly like that. Not I don't want you to figure out what you did for them by looking at the card. I want you to go look at the invoice.
Just do it again.
I want you to look at the invoice, and whatever you did, that's what I want. And I'll send you the art. I'll do everything. And that's it. So I've for a couple of years there, I made spot. I didn't just make clones of spot glosses. I made legit real spot glosses. And so I know, they were gorgeous. And if you look at the plastic bases from last year, and I think if you look at the VIP plastic bases from this year, they were gorgeous. I can look at these with my maker. I'm a perfectionist eye, and I can go, these are gorgeous. I know how they make them. Well, then just to complete the story of how this goes, the people that I worked with at Rachel at the place was farming my order out and FFG's order out to somebody else. And so eventually it got to the point where they didn't want to do them anymore because it was an odd size. They usually worked on business card shapes. And so Rachel was like, okay, this is the factory in China that makes these. This is the guy's name. His number is plus 20, I don't know, whatever the country code is. You look him up on WhatsApp. This is how you talk. So like I got deeper into this than even the FFG people did. And I'm like dealing directly with the factory in China and having boxes show up in my house, airdrop from China to do these real legit spot glosses of new art and new characters and whatnot. And so like that's the level of making these plastic cards I got into. Now, all that is to say, I stood at the prize wall for the first time at the weekend, and I looked down, and I'm not paying any attention to anything. I wanted the individual cards, the non-foil versions of the individual cards you had to buy. Well, then I glance over and I look, and there were what? There were like 16 bases, 12 bases,
12 plastic bases in the case.
There were 12 plastic bases in the case. They were garbage. They were terrible. They were so poorly made. I was so disappointed in FFG in making these bases because I can look at these and they're just blurry. Like you hold these up to, I like somebody next to me was ordering one, or had picked one up, and I was like, hey, I'm 50, so my eyes are not as good as they were when I was 20. And so I'm like, am I seeing this wrong? So the guy next to me is ordering one. I'm like, hey, when you order that, you mind if I take a look at it for a second? And he's like, no, he hands it to me. And I look at it and I like let my eyes focus on it. And I'm like, no, these are printed. If you know printing, highly visual or highly detailed printing is like 300 dots per inch. It's called DPI. And if you go to 600 DPI, that's like retina display. These were printed at like 200 DPI. So they were clear, but they look like they were made in somebody's house on their like $1,500 printer, not made on some $1 million printer in China or on the East Coast somewhere that professionally makes this stuff. And so I was so incredibly disappointed with FFG in this, that they made these bases and I know they didn't use poor art because they have the art. Like you can hold the card of the base up next to the plastic card of the base, and it's the same art. So they have high resolution art. You can look at the little icons, and the icons are on the card are clear and crystal, and the lines are look great. You look at the plastic base, and it's all just a little bit blurry. So if anybody at FFG, if you would like spot glosses, if you would like real legit spot glosses like you used to make, hit me up. I know how to get them done. I'll order them for you. I'm great at this. I know how it works. I don't think that's going to happen. No, and the work that you guys did, or the work that they did on the other, I know they have the capability to do the other bases. Yeah, they do. Because they were great. But the 12 that they had in the case were so incredibly I have a whole spiel that is coming in some future podcast about how I wish this company could feel embarrassment. Because they make such terrible decisions and then just march forward like this is the greatest idea in the world. If I worked for FFG, if I had an FFG badge on my shirt and I took these if I'm opening the prize wall and I'm an FFG guy or an Asmodee guy and I'm looking at these foils and I'm like, oh man, these are gorgeous. I love the detail on these. I love how this card came out. I love how, whatever this is. And then I unwrap these plastic bases. I'm literally ashamed I wouldn't put them out there. If I was in charge, I'd be like, I'm sorry, these did not meet our quality specifications. We're not having these bases like that. That's how bad they were. So I've gone off on this huge tangent on this one piece of the prize wall. Most of the prize wall I thought was great. Like I got a bunch of sleeves. I didn't end up with a map because I got there and I was like, you know what? I collect the cards. I want the cards. And I got all 12 of the non-foils. I got 10 of the 12 out of the silver packs with plenty of extras to try and trade for them. I thought those were great. I thought the selection of cards was really good. Even though there was no chase, I thought that was a calculated decision. And I thought it was a good decision to keep stocks high. And there was something for everybody, and not something that everybody wanted. And so that meant that everybody could get the card that they wanted. So I was fine with that. Pricing on the showcase is a little high. Pricing on the other cards that I got were a little high. I'm okay with that. But the plastic bases, oh my goodness. Nope. If I'm in charge of that walls, these do not hit the price because I make plenty of stuff that comes out bad and I just won't send it out. I make things that turn out incorrectly and I could just give them away, but then if I give them away to like my friends who play with them, then they're displaying my wares that are poorly made for other people, and that's a bad advertisement for me. This is a bad advertisement for prizing. They were awful.
Yeah, I can't argue this point. I didn't see it.
I'm sorry. I can't help but laugh
about this, Ian.
I gotta say thank you to everybody who brought me stuff back. Jason brought me a deck box and some sleeves. Mm-hmm. Wes, my guy, brought me some sleeves and 4 of those bases that you're talking about. Yep. So I'm actually very happy to get them. They are not the best printed quality, but I'm super excited to have them, and they last a couple of years, so it'd be fun to have. So thank you, and Trey picked me up a couple of cards too. So thank you guys for everything you brought back for me. Much appreciated.
I didn't notice any of this until Trey said something. He's like, "Have you really looked at them? Have you really looked at?" I think how he phrased it was, "Look at the artist's name in the bottom left." When you look, he goes, "Well, look at the card. You can read the artist's name." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Look at the plastic base. Can you read it?" And I was like,
"No." The plastic bases look like
it's fuzzy.
They look like if you ever load up a video game and the character, and then it loads a skin over the character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't load everything right away, and then you get all the detail a little later. It looks like it's just missing that detail.
The little
printing.
loading thing is still churning. It's just not showing on the base, right? Like it's still loading.
Yeah, like I play Gears of War all the time, and your character loads, and then like 10 seconds later, they look like they're supposed to with all the skins and loading. And it looks like it's missing those skins.
And if you're somebody at home and you're making proxies, these are great. Like these, if you have like the UV printer and you want to put this together and like you show off what you've made, for somebody to make these at home, it's perfectly acceptable quality. But to show up at what we're going to call SWOCon and Galactics and the biggest event of the year and put this crap on the table to say, "This is our prize, please buy it." Oh, I would have been so embarrassed to open that package and lay them out there.
I didn't notice it, but now I can't unsee it. After he told me, he said something to me on Saturday.
I just ruined plastic bases for so many people.
I can't unsee it probably, but whatever. They're still fun.
So when you guys were at Galactics and you were playing all these games, we got to change the subject. These plastic bases, they don't look great, but we got to go on.
I get passionate about making things, man. I'm super passionate about it.
We know. We helped you. We didn't help you design those cards, but we helped you come up with titles and things like that. And like,
that's true.
The amount of feedback and questions that you have, we know how much of a perfectionist you are. At least the two of us know. At least our audience now knows as well.
Guys, you don't know the half of it, but continue.
What were some of the things that when you guys were playing? Like, this podcast was kind of born out of us just sitting around a table and having conversations about SWU. So when you're at this event, like this kind of large event like GC, and you're sitting down and you're playing these games, what were some of the conversations you had with other players? What are they liking about the game? What are they not liking about the game? Like what's going on out there? Like, I talk to you guys and my local people, and that's really about it. So what's going on out there in the community when you guys were sitting down and chatting them up?
Trey, jump in, baby.
Well, yeah, most of the stuff, the conversations I had conversations in heads up games in limited were mostly about the game I was playing. There wasn't any kind of like lean back and muse about the general state of the game. It was just about what we were playing. In Twin Sun, when we played a lot of Twin Suns, there was a lot of lean back. What do you think of this? How's it going? The biggest thing that came up, and this is its own topic that we've talked about for almost the length of this podcast. One of the very first topics we got into is how broken regular packs were. And I mean, it culminated with stores dropping the game because there's just no reason for people to buy the regular packs. And
not anymore.
Another thread that we have noticed along the way is that we have given major kudos for is that FFG and Asmodee have proven that if they see something wrong with the game and they get feedback that says this thing is wrong with the game, they're perfectly willing to make a change. So with the advent of Lawless Time, they made some excellent changes to the way the packs were put together. And 100%. Now, like everybody on this podcast is as grousey as we get about some of this stuff. We are all like, these packs are awesome. We think these are, us. We're really happy with what they did for the packs. The other side of that coin, though, is where are Carbonites now? And I had independent, brought up by different people, multiple conversations about this over the weekend of people who normally drop a substantial amount of money on Carbonite when a set comes out, who have just said, "I'm not doing this again," because there's no reason to buy you buy Carbonite product and you get nothing good out of it. I saw multiple posts at the beginning of this set saying I opened a Carbonite box and there were no legends in it, and that's just for the amount of money you're spending. There has to be something worth your while in there, and there's just not. So this is way better than where we were. This is the
Carbonites are broken though. They're broken.
And I'm okay with the Carbonites being broken because I don't want Carbonites. I want the game to thrive. I want regular people who are. I'm thinking of the dad with his two young sons who we actually know. I don't. They may buy Carbonite, but I'm just in general like the archetype of the family that plays this who doesn't have the crazy disposable income to just drop or all that money on getting Carbonite, and they would rather buy boxes or they'd want to draft together. Just the focus on the regular product. I'm very happy with where that is now, but I do have a number of people. I independently talked to other people that I didn't, without prompting from me. They just said Carbonite is trash, and I'm not buying it anymore. So that is a problem that FFG should probably look into, as long as it doesn't step on the toes of the fixes that they did for regular packs.
Yeah, I had similar conversations with folks, again, largely unprompted, just talking through things. There were 2 Carbonite sealed events on the weekend, one on Friday, one on Saturday. They sold out both days, but I think a lot of that was because the ticket payouts were very high because you're investing a ton of money. It's $150 to enter one of these things. And you got a lot of tickets in a very short amount of time. I think it was for a 2-hour event, and you're $150, you got 6 Carbonite packs, and then I think it was 3,500 tickets. It was like a super sealed event, but at half the time. Wow. So they were charging a premium for it. But when you talk to folks, the overall vibe on Carbonite is I think for my money, I think the pendulum has swung maybe a little too far in the wrong direction, he says, banging his mic.
There's no pendulum. You have 2 independent things to fix. They fixed one of them, and the other one came down a little bit. When you say pendulum, that sounds like you want it to push back the other way. Please do not touch my regular packs.
That's fair. I don't know that I wanted to swing back the other way, but I think Carbonites have actually fallen to a point where they're not they're meant to be a collector product, but even the collectors are looking at this now going, this is not worth my money.
Look, as somebody who works retail, you can fix a collector's box real easy, right? So let's just compare them to the basic other collector's pack of Magic, right? Mm-hmm. You open a Magic collector's pack, and there are 5 rare cards in that pack. 5.
Always. All guaranteed? Okay.
5 guaranteed rares. Okay. Your last 5, you get 1 special insert card that is for that specific collector set, and you get 5 other rare cards. So you're getting 6 specialty cards out of a pack. I've opened 3 Carbonite packs, and I had 1 pack where I didn't get a rare card in the whole pack. That included my prestige card.
Bingo.
My prestige card was uncommon. Yes. There was no rare card.
Yes.
I cannot spend... I can buy 5 packs, and I can get 10 Carbonite, or I can get 5 Hyperspace, 5 Hypercoil cards at the same price that I buy a collector's pack, and I get 4 extra cards, but they're not guaranteed to be rare. Yeah. So you need to increase the amount of rarities per pack. There needs to be 4 or 5 rares per pack, and you need to maybe guarantee a showcase or a serialized card per box, like you do in sports cards collecting. If you buy a hobby box of sports card collecting, you have a guaranteed autograph per box. So you're going to have to do something along those lines to rebalance those Carbonite packs. It shouldn't feel amazing to open a regular pack and be like, wow, I got a 9th Sister and a Hyperspace foil Imperial Commando, something that's a fun playable card, or a Crab Droid. That feels great. When you open a Carbonite pack and you're like, I didn't get a single rare, why did I spend $25 on this? You feel pretty crappy.
Yeah.
So there's some easy fixes to that. You're probably going to have to increase the price to fix it. But even if you raise the price to $300 a box, but you guarantee X amount of rarities or X amount of showcases or serialized cards, I think that would fix that problem real fast, because it would make it a collector's product again.
Yeah.
They are $300 a box.
Yeah. Yeah.
12, they are 300? Okay.
12 packs of 25. That's MSRP, 300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
300. Okay. Well, I don't.
But to that point, nobody can sell them at $300 a box because they're not worth it. They're not worth it. But if you
TCG Trader, they're going. On TCG Trader, they're going for $220 right now. They're going for garbage.
Yeah,
they're super low.
Right.
So I think some minor tweaks to the Carbonite, and they'll fix it. But I think they're smart enough at this point where they're understanding that the legendary chase cards need to come out of your regular boxes so that you can sell your regular booster boxes and keep your stores happy. Right. And they just need to do a better job of putting more rare cards in those packs. So when you open a $25 pack, it feels like a $25 pack. It doesn't feel like a $5 pack because that feels rough. Real rough. I don't really have any more. Go ahead, Wes.
Well, I want to just to kind of continue this thread real briefly, right? I think you've hit the nail on the head, right? One of the best changes that they've made. I think throughout year 2, there's been a reassessment, a reevaluation, like last year I'm talking about, of the power level of the legendaries in general, and then what legendaries you choose to make prestige versions of. And that has now spilled into year 3. And now for 2 consecutive sets, and I think this is a good trend, by the way, the big sought-after chase legendaries in each of the last 2 sets have not had a prestige version of the card. I think that's good. And we've said that on the podcast before. I think that's a great change. To give you an example, do you remember last year, Ian, you talked about the pallets and pallets of product they had behind the stage. You said you saw them. Okay.
Yeah. Pallets.
So
unopened cards that they thought they were going to sell for draft and sealed.
This year, they ran out of sealed Ashes product on the convention floor. By nice. Late Sunday, they had one of the reasons they cut off draft and sealed earlier on Sunday is because they had no more packs, right? And now also consider they ran 5 large super sealed events over the course of the weekend on top of a 500 person draft for the main event on Saturday morning, followed by a 75 or 80 person draft for the main event on Sunday morning, right? On top of all the draft pods they ran on Friday. There were a lot of people drafting on Friday to practice for the Saturday draft. So there was a ton of draft and sealed going on at this event. They ran out completely. Like they had no more Ashes in the room to sell regular booster packs. So the regular boxes are going gangbusters. And so that's good, as Trey has pointed out, as we've discussed on the podcast before. That's great for your local shop, right? When they stock product, it needs to be worth buying. But yeah, they're going to have to do something, I think, to bring the collectors back to Carbonites, so to make it actually a collector's product again. I don't think they're there yet. This has gone too far.
In the sports world, it's called a case hit. You just guarantee a case hit. That's it.
Yeah.
You buy a case, get it 2 hits or whatever it is, a box hit, however you want to put it.
Yep.
I think they'll be okay. I think they'll figure that out.
They'll get.
I think Carbonites.
They'll get there.
I'll be honest. I do think Carbonites are a little important for the whales. We need people to spend a lot of money to keep this game popular. And let's talk about how I think the popularity is really going to jump. Let's talk about the big announcement at GC this year, where they are moving it from an adult location of Vegas to their location of Anaheim.
And not just any Anaheim, California, where they have
California, where Disneyland is, right? Where they've got convention centers and lots of stuff right outside of Disneyland that they can use. Corporate Ian would tell you that this is a huge deal, right? This means that the mouse no longer thinks that this is a fringe product, and it is a profitable product that they're willing to bring into their fold, into their community, right? Disney always kind of keeps things separate for as long as they can until they feel that it's profitable enough for them to bring in. So I think this is a big deal. Now, the time of it is not great. To move it to May is not the best idea.
Yeah, it's rough.
Why?
Well, it's going to be harder on families because you still have kids in school.
That is
School's not out at the end of May, right?
So consider this, right? The recently crowned Galactic Champion from Canada is 17 years old. Presumably, he's going to graduate from high school in Canada. That's probably graduation weekend next year.
Yeah, he ain't coming.
So consider that you've now chosen a date that your Galactic Champion literally might not be able to attend because he's graduating high school, and that's kind of a big deal. So, and it's not just that's just the extreme example, right? That impacts. I've read tons and tons of messages in the various Discords and chats that I sit in. People talking about, I don't think I can go next year because my kid's graduating, or I've got to go to a family graduation event. Like my niece or my nephew is graduating, or whatever. You've chosen a really difficult weekend for a lot of families to make this event. Now, timing wise, it's only a few days. I think one of the reasons it's been chosen, it's a handful of days before the 50th anniversary of the release of the first film, right? 25 May is the 1977, right? Is the release day, and this con is the 21st through the 23rd of May, 2027. So
Wes,
yeah.
I want to revisit something real quick. You were bringing up this Canadian fella. I hear he's a handsome young lad. Can you tell me where I could see a picture of him?
Nowhere. James Rigby, God bless him, the Invisible Man. I'm going to chase this down. I have to know what's going on. This is a pet peeve
of Wes's, by the way.
This is a huge pet peeve of mine, guys, and I'm going to tell you why. I am obviously a streamer, a caster. I put people on camera playing this game. As a result, I have actually read FFG's comprehensive event guide that contains rules and guidelines for putting minors on camera. In writing, in their own event guide, this is totally fine, right? As long as you are considered official event coverage by the event organizer. In other words, you were invited or given permission to stream or otherwise record the event. Putting a minor on camera is totally fine. But for some reason, at Galactics and sector qualifiers and regional qualifiers and all these big events that they run formally, they won't do it. I don't understand. It's like, I just, the lack of consistency makes my head explode. And I'm to a point now where it's like, I'm going to start asking questions of the like, I'm going to talk to Jack Brumell or somebody. I'm going to send an email. It's like, I need somebody to explain this to me. Because if I'm doing something wrong, I need to know, because your written rules don't say this is a problem, but your behavior and your actions say that it is. Please choose one.
I'm just going to ask a real basic question, though.
Yeah.
Maybe his parent didn't give permission for them to use him on their screen.
His parents were there, and I'm confident that if they had been handed a waiver to sign, they would have done it. They were proud. They're proud of their son. Like, he's up there crushing people.
Yeah, I'd be proud,
right?
too.
Exactly.
He just beat all these middle-aged adults.
Exactly right.
Good jobs.
Damn right.
You know, and he's got this really expensive tech.
He's crushing
that
it.
They probably helped put together.
So I refuse, and I've read a story. This is anecdotal. I do not know if this is accurate, but I read a story that there was. I've been trying to find out if this actually happened, but there was somebody, one of these minor players, who had actually been on camera at a regional championship. I think it might have been Milwaukee back in February. Who playing live was on camera. But then when they published the video on demand, they had like blacked out the match. You couldn't see it anymore. So like this kid wanted to show like his friends and his family, his aunts and uncles or whatever, look, there I am playing the game and winning or whatever. He couldn't. They had removed him, like erased him from existence, like 1984 style.
Yeah, him holding up the trophy in the back of it is hilarious.
Like literally the still pictures of this guy taken from the back are just, the whole thing is a farce to me. I do not understand. And it cannot be that hard for your legal people to say, here's a waiver, get a guardian to sign it, and we're done. It cannot be that hard. The only thing that makes sense to me, and I'm going to get an answer to this because I'm going to chase this. This is a huge pet peeve of mine. Trey was on the bases earlier. This is mine, right? This is my dog with a bone. If it's Disney's legal people, then they can't fight it. Like if for somebody at the Disney or Lucasfilm Limited office legal department has told them, you literally can't do this, we will never countenance it, just don't even ask, then okay, they're in a corner and they can't fix it. Their hands are tied, and I get it. And if that's the answer, that's the answer. But if it's literally anything beyond that, it's just farcical, and I can't understand it. So I have to have an answer. I have to know what's going on. Anyway, do continue. You hit one of my buttons.
So let's just circle back to it being at Disneyland this year.
Yes.
Right? Next year's at Disneyland. So you guys have talked about the con portion of this, right? You have the Galactic Championship and you have the con portion. This shows, I think, in my opinion, that they want to put more time into the con version than they do the competitive scale, right? I don't think that they definitely make more money on the side events, the limited events, all that
Big
stuff
time.
than they do from the streaming of the 2,000 people watching on YouTube, the main Galactic event. So it would be interesting to see if there'll be a bunch of different, like, does Disney do a Larkana event that same weekend? Like, how big of an event are they going to push together on that weekend? But I think it's cool. I mean, it was an easy sell to the wife. Like, hey, you want to go to Disneyland? I'll play games. You could be at Disneyland. Like, that is a very easy sell to the wife. Like, go have fun. It is going to be a lot more expensive to stay. It's going to be more expensive to fly out. Vegas is cheap to stay, cheap to fly, cheap to get to, cheap to stay at. I mean, for the most part.
It can
In comparison to Anaheim, California, near Disneyland,
yeah.
Let me tell you, it's way cheaper.
I was
way
really hoping.
cheaper.
I was really hoping they would be choosing a cheaper location. I don't feel, from my experience, Vegas is not like dirt cheap. Like, I don't feel like we're getting robbed by paying the rates we're paying in the Venetian when you stay on property, like in the same hotel as the event. But it's definitely not outrageously cheap. I was hoping for something just a little more affordable, and we kind of went, for my money, we went the other direction, right? Like, we went like, oh, you thought it was cheap, you thought it was expensive before.
Way.
Just jack it up now.
Complete opposite way.
One thing that is not clear at this moment is, are they holding the event on property at the Disneyland Resort? There's apparently some kind of convention space over there. Or are they holding it literally across the street at the Anaheim Convention Center? I've heard people say that they think both is true. I don't know which is true. They haven't sold us.
The announcement said this is at the Disneyland Resort.
Correct. But I've spoken to people who don't believe that they can fit the event in the convention space that's there. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I literally don't know.
It's not. I've been to that convention center once at Disneyland. It is not big enough to host. I mean, you could cram in the tournament, but you couldn't do the side event stuff.
Right.
So there's a good chance, like, if you make day two's in. If you make day three's in Disneyland.
You think so?
Well, I mean, like, if I'm them, right, and you want to use it as a nice advertising piece, there's plenty of places that they could play, and you could, as just a random person, walk by and be like, oh, what are they playing? Oh, come over here and play this game. Let me sell you some stuff.
Go play day 2 of the Galactic Championships back in Galaxy's Edge, right up on one of their stages or something like that. That'd actually be kind of cool.
There's lots of different places where they could put it inside and AC it and do like 150 people in their type of tournament and stream it. So
that would actually be kind of neat.
They'll figure something out. I'm sure they've already got stuff in, at least ideas rolling around, or they wouldn't have moved the event if it had gone. So, like, it sounds like everything went smooth this year. So, like, there was no real reason to move it unless you've got an idea that sounds better. So, I mean, I hope that Disney throws some marketing behind this. I don't know. I think it's super interesting. Super
Ian,
fun.
I'm going to ask you a question, right? You're a Southern California vet, right? I am not. I have been to LA, I think, maybe once, maybe twice.
Born and raised.
So to get the SoCal perspective on this, like, there's more places, convention center aside, it's not just the hotels that are like on property adjacent to Disneyland. There's other stuff filtered around it, right? Like, like, to use the example in Vegas, you didn't have to stay at the Venetian. You could stay across the street at Treasure Island, like Trey did. Or I know people that stayed a couple hotels down at the Link or something like that. So, like, there's other places, like, if you're willing to walk or maybe Uber a short distance, you can maybe be off property, right? No, you're shaking your head. Help me out. I'm asking.
I mean, no, not really. Like, there's other hotels and stuff but everything is more directed around Disneyland. Now, the Anaheim Convention Center is not far from Disneyland. It's like literally, it's across the street, but
like, it's next door.
Yeah, it's like half a mile from the entrance, I guess. But I would tell you that there are plenty of places to stay around the convention center. You do not need to stay at property. May is not super hot in Southern California. Like, it's hot, but it's not like we're used to here, Texas hot. So walking like 2 miles in the sun in May in Southern California is not a big deal.
Okay.
I will say that it's going to be a lot more expensive to fly out there, especially if you're flying. You'll have to fly into LAX and find your way to Anaheim, or you'll have to fly into San Diego and find yourself in Anaheim. Oof. The Anaheim airport is very expensive to fly in and out of because it's not very big and not very people fly there. So that's a big drawback.
I actually have a recommendation here, and we'll talk more about this as we get closer. The only time, well, maybe the only time
I've done that drive, cowboy. That's so rough, bro.
The only time I have been to LA was for a World of Warships event about 8 years ago.
Okay.
We did a player gathering aboard USS Iowa, which is in Long Beach. And we didn't fly to LAX. We flew to John Wayne Airport, which is south of Anaheim. The actual call sign of it is it's SNA because it's near Santa Ana. And on a map, it's way closer to Anaheim than LAX, is like 35 miles to Anaheim. SNA is not nearly that far. It's maybe like 10 or 15. So if you're looking at flights, it's a smaller airport. It's niche. There's going to be less in there, but it might save you some time or some money on the back end if you're looking down the road. So just have a peek anyway.
I don't know what that time of the year is like at Disneyland, so I couldn't tell you like hotel wise how expensive things will be then.
We're gonna find out.
Kids who are in high school or graduating from high school are still at school, so maybe there's a little
there's
not
a lot of downtime at Disneyland these days, or Disney World, from what I understand. I went during a school time last time, and you would think that those kids don't go to school anymore. Well, guys, that's all the questions I have for you. I got nothing else. I'm super jealous you guys got to go, and I was stuck counting things. It made my weekend really terrible.
We were counting damage on bases, so
we were counting a lot of damage. That's true.
Yeah, twinsies. Yeah. You only had to count up to 30. I was counting like thousands and thousands of items. But thanks for all the stories.
You're welcome.
I'm sure the audience who didn't get to go is super excited to hear all the stories too.
You were missed. I look forward to hopefully all three of us being able to go next year, and we can do stuff like this live from like the hotel or on location or something.
Definitely.
Instead. Yeah.
Definitely.
After Super Sealed, we can have like a meetup dinner and podcast from that.
That would actually
don't interfere with my
cool
Super Sealed.
That would be cool.
Do not interfere with my Super Sealed.
That would be cool.
We'll hold it right in the middle of Super Sealed.
I have to give one more shout out.
I won't be there.
Okay. I have to give one more shout out, and I meant to do this earlier in the podcast. There was a place I could have slipped in, and I didn't write it down, so of course I forgot because I didn't write it down. While I was standing in, like Trey and I both did the little designer challenge, right, where you play one of the devs. Who did you end up playing, by the way, Trey? You played Joe O'Neill.
I played Joe. I played Joe, the guy that designed the Mall Sauvage deck.
Yes.
And I got him to sign I have Joe signed copies. I can't hold up this computer. Nobody else to see it. But a lot of my little leaders that I did, I got him to sign those. So that's who I played.
Nice.
Oh, that's Swinton's. Never mind.
Okay, I played against Aaron Miles, who was super fun. We had a great game. I only had one premier deck with me. It was my Grief Red that I had played in the LCQ, so I just sat down. He was playing Krennic Yellow, and I managed to get the win, which was a lot of fun. Aaron was a great opponent, and I love that deck. Like, I still think Krennic Yellow is really fun. But while I was standing in line, Ryan Serrano, another one of the developers, like if you've seen him on camera, you would recognize him. You've seen him on streams if you've watched any FFG stream. He's been on before. He saw me standing in line and came out from the staff behind the curtains, where they have staff areas and stuff. And he saw me and he came over to shake my hand and thank me for what we have all done, like with tournament coverage and streaming the game. Yes.
What?
And yes, Ian. I told somebody else. I said he's the first FFG
You're
staffer.
a filthy liar. I don't believe you.
No. It was one of the guys. One of the guys from Austin was standing there with me when this happened. We were having a great conversation. If you remember Henry, I think it was Henry who played Avar Chris a couple of times recently in Texas PQs. I had him on camera. He was standing right in line next to me. Ryan came over and he's the first FFG employee to say, shake my hand, fist bump me and say, thank you, for putting the game on camera. You make it look good. We appreciate it and everything. And I was just like, wow, they know I exist. That's amazing. Wow. That felt really good. So yeah, that was definitely, so I wanted to give a shout out to Ryan because he was just great people. It was great to talk to him. I told him something that I said earlier in the podcast. I said, I really feel like Ashes of the Empire is one of the best limited format experiences since Spark of Rebellion. And he was like, that feels really good to hear you say that, because I think he did some work on that in this set. And I was like, well, it's true. Like, I played a bunch of Super Sealed and it was great. We had a blast. Like, this is a great set for limited. So yeah, just shout out to Ryan while I have the opportunity. So in case he's listening. So, all right, you boys good? We hanging it up?
So
you got one more. Bring it.
Well, it's not really about that. I just wanted to, based on the feedback and people actually knowing who the hell I was and going, "Oh God, you are tall," and like saying, introduce himself. It sounds like there actually is a little bit of community around this. And so one of the things we've tried to do in the past, I have a Discord server that I run for some other stuff. Wes has his own Sea Raptor Discord server. None of them really fit the On the Button the On the Button podcast. It's not ready yet, but based on what we tried to do is we tried to set up a channel that's synced between everybody so that everybody could have their Discord server. That has fallen flat. I mean, we kind of do that here locally in Houston. There's some servers in Houston that kind of go back and forth, but nobody outside of that. So I think I think we're going to try and come up with a better way to communicate with us. So look forward in the future to us saying, okay, discord.onthebutton.xyz is where you need to go, and then it'll get you into our Discord server, so that we're based on seeing the people that actually pay attention to what we're doing, and it's not just the three of us sitting here recording and firing off to nothing. We're gonna put together something to get some more communications with our people.
Yeah. And to give everybody a taste, a brief spoiler of our planned next episode, it is going to be the big Twin Sons special. We had all kinds of thoughts, experiences about Twin Sons, but there was too much to fit into this episode along with GC. So we're gonna tie a bow around the 2026 Galactic Championships, and next week we're going to start talking about Twin Sons. We're going to have an episode just almost I'll say 2 weeks, basically wholly dedicated to Twin Sons. So that's your jam. Stay tuned. We've got your back coming soon. All right, you guys good?
I think so.
Awesome. All right, guys. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for hanging with us. If you found us at the GC, thanks again for saying hi and shaking our hands.
It really meant a lot to me, guys. Thank you for reaching out and saying hi. That was incredible. I really appreciate that.
I'll always tell people it makes a difference more than you realize. Please make sure and give us a like, subscribe, or follow wherever it is you happen to enjoy the podcast. And we will catch you guys on a future episode or at a future event. Peace out. Take care.